I will also comply with President Trump's policies on illegal immigrants and work with Tom Homan, our national security director and border czar, to help round up all illegal immigrants in our state. And if that means using the National Guard, I'll do it. And if that means that we consider in the state of Kansas creating a militia to help the National Guard keep the peace and accomplish the agenda items that we have, then I'm going to talk with the legislature about that. A voluntary militia, able-bodied men between 21 and 45, for example. We'll talk about that. But I think they could be there to back the police, back the National Guard, and help Kansas keep the peace. One example in particular was this black mass that was held on the grounds of our Capitol. I would have used the National Guard, the militia, and all of the law enforcement officers that I have at my disposal as governor, and that black mass would not have taken place if I were governor of the state of Kansas. We have come so far from what the founders intended. The founders did not mean to wrap Satanism in the blanket of free speech and freedom of religion. People in those days who did that were burned at the stake, and I'm not advocating that we execute these people, but I am suggesting that these actions don't take place on public property, state property. They can go, if they have a farm or a barn or their own home, they can do those things in the privacy of their own home and their own property, but not on Kansas state capitol property. And we had members of both parties say, well, it's free speech. We might not like what they say, but we've got to put up with it. Nonsense. That's not what the founding fathers intended. We need a governor who's brave enough to say this out loud. Why are we so afraid as conservatives to say this? That event did not have to happen. And it wouldn't have if I were governor. Nothing like that will ever happen again when I'm governor. And finally, we're going to make God first in Kansas, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to restore divine providence in the founding fathers' original intent. Prayer in schools, defending our Judeo-Christian heritage and values, ensuring that state policies reflect our spiritual foundation and the traditional family values that built Kansas and America. Kansas is the heartbeat of the moral pulse of America, and we will not let her, Kansas, slide any further into the woke, liberal, progressive nonsense that we've seen over the last 8 years with communist-socialist Laura Kelly at the helm. Folks, the Democratic Party doesn't even exist anymore. They've blended communism and socialism together, and they are clearly not a pro-America political party. Look at evidence of the obvious.